Car shortages seem to be on everyone's mind right now. Whether you're a consumer looking at buying a brand new or used car, you're probably noticing there's not a lot of options out there, especially for new. And if you're looking at used and you can find the cars you're looking for, you're probably paying MSRP or right around sticker price, and that's pretty crazy for a car that's probably 1 to 2 years old. But I've had a number of friends tell me that they've been looking at buying a car for the winter, and every single option they look at is sold within about 1 to 2 days after they looked at it. The amount of turnover rates is just mind-boggling, where cars that would be sitting on inventory for 28 days are now gone within less than 7 days. So inventory is constantly changing, it's really cranking up. And for dealerships, I've been reading that they're doing quite well when it comes to profits because, of course, the used car prices, they're making tons of money off that. But if you are a salesperson, you probably notice there's not a lot of options when it comes to selling new cars. Then if you are in the parts department or service department, I think you're also noticing the shortages as well, especially now people are complaining about waiting for parts to arrive, and I've had people tell me that they're waiting weeks for their car to get serviced. So it's getting worse. It really is getting worse, and I've had people tell me that it will get worse before it gets better. These are people that work at dealerships and work in the industry. Also, when you look at the headlines from online news sources, you see that factories are shutting down for a period of time to really ramp up their production later on. But this is also during the time of year where manufacturers are retooling their factories because you're going to have new model years or brand new models, and of course the manufacturers need to change up the production line to actually produce those vehicles. So you have a shortage on top of a brand that's going to be shutting down their production anyway for a period of time. So the problem just seems to be piling up with each passing day. Now, as an automotive YouTuber, as a car reviewer, I've been really feeling the urge to document this. I kind of feel bad and I regret not doing this for 2020 because I think that would have been really cool to look back on and just kind of take in everything that I experienced last year. And this year, we're already past the halfway point, but it seems as though that the problems are getting more relevant even on my side of things. So earlier this week, I went out to try reviewing some vehicles and trying to see what's out there, because on the online inventories, it looks like as if they're there on the lot, but then when you get there, they're definitely not. And I went into one dealership checking out the inventory lines, and there's basically nothing. There was a handful of Avalons, a handful of Toyota Camrys. I didn't see any Corollas. I'm pretty sure they were there. And then also, of course, there was one small line of Highlanders, which those are rare. Those are very hard to come by right now. But what I found really disconcerting was the fact that there were two transporters and none of them had brand new Toyotas. So in my mind, it was really dire here because Toyotas are supposed to be high volume sellers and you need to have inventory to continue selling. But there were other observations that I noticed on the same day at other dealers in the area that really got me concerned, and here's what I filmed on that day. Checking out Lexus next door, and this is all they have for cars that are coming in. That's it. One tiny row. Now there are some cars out front, remaining inventory, but that's all these guys have. It's usually filled to the brim. This is just insanity. Oh, I have to route back out to the front. And this is what they have. Their front line are all used cars. There's no new cars up front. That's not how this works. In fact, this entire place will be filled with cars. I'm pretty sure these are all looking like older models, maybe some remaining inventory, but this is just insane to witness. It really truly is. I am speechless. So now at Audi, all you have is two Q5s. That's it. These are all used cars right here. And in this area, you would have the A6s, A7s, A8s down on this side. And also to put everything into perspective, see how empty this is? This would be the overflow lot for the Toyota dealership. Also the overflow lot for Subaru as well. This is completely empty. That's it. That is it. I think there's one new Q3. And then on the right side over here would be all the Q7s and Q8s. And there's nothing. There's literally nothing here. This would be all filled with Q5s. I had plenty of variety to choose from a couple weeks ago, and it's all gone. Now, how is this going to change how you buy a car in the future? Well, we're already starting to see not only manufacturers, but dealerships take matters into their own hands. Now, what I would say though is that this was the direction the automotive industry was going to go in anyway. This was going to happen in 2030 or 2040, and if you do have an automotive background, you were already starting to see some of those changes take place near the end of last decade, where we started having more of an online experience, but also dealerships were starting to spend a lot more money on social media platforms and spending more time on online marketing rather than old school and traditional commercials such as billboards and TV. Now, when it comes to the buying process, this is really beginning to change. And I'm starting to see some dealerships do this. Now, this was always available to you as a buyer, but this was really meant for special cars. It wasn't necessarily meant for average run-of-the-mill vehicles. And if you have purchased, say, a BMW M3, M4, obviously Lamborghinis and Ferraris, you pretty much know the whole pre-ordering process, where you go to the dealership, you spec out the car, and then you wait probably 2 to 3 months. And that's pretty much normal for exotics and luxury brands. But for manufacturers such as Ford, Honda, Toyota, you don't really see that. You'll have some buyers that come in that want to have specific trims and specific packages, but usually the brands will have a vehicle on inventory where you can just buy it that day. But there's a local dealership in the area, in the Boston area, that is now offering an online portal where you can pre-order a vehicle and they'll notify you when it comes in. You pretty much wait 8 to 12 weeks, and now you can just go buy the vehicle right then and there. And this is pretty much a similar business model to what Tesla offers, where you just go to the store, you test drive the vehicle, you order it, and then you wait for it. And that is going to be the business model in the future. Whether it's 5 years down the road or 10 years down the road, that is coming. Now you're probably saying to yourself, okay, this is just one dealership. That's the only example that you can use right now. Is there any other brands or dealerships that are doing the exact same thing? Well, even though some dealerships are not advocating or outwardly promoting this feature or this service, they're no strangers to this, because they had done the online buying process last year where you didn't need to go into the showroom, talk to somebody, and test drive the vehicle right then and there. You now have the ability to just purchase your vehicle online. They'll give you the keys to it when you show up. You can test drive it, and then they'll even deliver it to you if you live in the area. So that business model already works, although a lot of consumers are reluctant to do that. They're still going into the showrooms. I remember when Massachusetts reopened, people were still lining up to walk in. They still wanted to experience all of that and take it in. And I understand that, because as a consumer myself, I'm not a huge fan of doing this all online. But from the brand's perspective, it all makes sense. And Volvo wants to do this. They talked about this earlier in the year. I have been having a hard time trying to find more articles on this. Auto News has an article, but I'm not a subscriber to their website, so I can't read everything. But they've been talking about that. Also, even in Korea, Volvo wants to do this as well. But even the journalists and the online magazines have been saying that even though this feature has been offered, they haven't really seen an uptick in sales. But from the manufacturer standpoint, when you have a chip shortage or part shortage, now you have a better understanding of how many cars you need to produce per month or per year. And now that chip shortage and that part shortage isn't as dire, it isn't as bad. But I think a lot of brands are going to be open to that. Volvo has been more cutting edge in that direction, where they want to go EV by 2030. I think they want to go EV even before that, where a lot of other brands are kind of more reluctant to make that decision right now. They're on the fence. You see that they're producing gas-powered cars. They're still coming out with gas-powered models, but they talk about going this EV future within about 15 years. But you can tell they're not 100% sure whether to go in that direction or not. They're kind of holding out and waiting to see where things go. But I do think, though, when it comes to this online portal, the brands and the dealerships are onto something here, because it really simplifies the whole buying process, and I think you guys are going to like it a lot more, especially if you know exactly what you want. If you're not somebody who is buying a used car, because I think used car buying is a whole different experience. But if you're buying new, you know exactly what the car is like. You can go to the dealership, experience it, because they do have demos. You can test drive it, you have a good idea, then you can just order it. You guys are probably going to enjoy that. We're already starting to see that with Carvana and other online buying brands and buying services, and it seems as though that seems to be a growing business model, and consumers have been completely open to it. When you think about the convenience and the simplicity of just sitting at home, ordering a car from your couch, it really changes up the whole buying process, where you don't have to go to one dealership here to check out a car. You don't have to go to other rival brands to try getting a better deal. Pretty much, you're probably going to be paying a fixed price. And again, this is probably going to be a great situation for the consumer, and that's why I don't think, from a buyer's perspective, that there's going to be as much resistance. I think over time, more people will be buying cars online, whether it's 2025 or 2030. But then the question comes down to, from the business side of sales, is what's going to happen to sales executives? What's going to happen to salespeople? Because I don't think that they're going to have jobs within about 10 years. And we're already starting to notice this, where with these dealerships that have these online portals, even though they're hungry for more sales and they want to be on top in their regions, they're going to jeopardize their employees in the long run when it comes to their job security. Because if you have this online portal, you don't deal with a salesperson. The salesperson has no part in this anymore. They've become obsolete. All you really need now is a whole team of geniuses, similar to what BMW offers, where you have the salespeople, but also have these geniuses that will go over the car. They'll do a virtual walk-around or an in-person walk-around. They'll even deliver the car to you, go over everything before you experience the car, after you drive it off the lot or you drive it off of your driveway, where you now are fully acclimated with the car you just purchased. This is going to happen with other brands as well. BMW is just ahead of the curve. But even other brands that are not really fully and outwardly marketing this or promoting this are also having people that are more this guru level, where they can go over these cars. I'm talking brands like Porsche, Mazda, Subaru, and even Toyota. And their roles are going to expand. Even though right now people who work in that level are probably like, okay, I'm not making as much money as a salesperson, I am seen as being a position beneath them. Hold on, because you're going to have a much bigger role heading into 2025, 2030. You're at the beginning of a whole new revolution in how we are going to be buying cars in the future, and you're going to be a big part of that. But as a consequence, salespeople are going to have to change how they do business as well. And we saw this last year, where they can now just get prospects from their homes, where they can work from home and work remotely. And that is really where the changes are going to happen. I think the car shortages, from an overall perspective, from a long-term perspective, it's going to change how you buy new cars. I also think it's going to change how you buy used cars as well, but maybe not as quick. And that is going to be the major implication. That's going to be what's going to change the automotive industry more so than anything else when it comes to these chip shortages. Yep, right now you can't have the option to buy a number of cars right now. You're going to be waiting a while. But that's a small symptom of what's to come. And that will be remedied in the long run. You will have inventory again, probably by 2022, 2023. There will at least be a replenishment. But what that does to the car buying process, what that does to you as a consumer, is definitely going to be affected immediately and in the long run. And that's why I wanted to really make this video, because I'm seeing it, consumers are seeing it, and so are dealers. And when you look at the chip shortages, when you look at what dealers are now having to do to continue getting sales in the new car market, this is just the beginning of a gradual process to what would have happened in 2030, 2040, had what 2020 happened not happened. So that's really what I want to go over. I've been really wanting to document this, and I want your feedback. Do you guys want me to really document this more? Go over what my day-to-day is like, especially when I go to dealerships and seeing that the inventory is drying up, because it's getting really tough out there. I do think that I'm going to have cars to film till the end of time, but when it comes to new cars and finding cars that are going to do well on the channel, that may be easier said than done. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more. Also, comment below. Let me know what you guys are experiencing. Not only somebody who maybe is looking at buying a new car, but maybe someone who works at a dealership. What are you guys experiencing? Because this is really unprecedented, and it's really interesting to me as somebody who has always been more of a historian that wants to read stuff on what happened before, and really I'm seeing this in person and experiencing this in person. So it's really just cool to kind of gather all this information and see what's going on, not only on my level, but also as a consumer and someone who works in the automotive industry. So once again, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day, take care, and I will see you guys next time.